Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's get into this video where we've got some concerns with sprockets and we do a rear wheel alignment check. Enjoy! Okay, so I was having some thoughts and as part of those thoughts of setting up the sprockets to one another, I wanted to verify that my rear axle is parallel to the swing arm point. I'm just going to show you one quick way that I'm doing it to double check, because over time when you're adjusting these, we try to count, how many turns we've undone a nut both sides to try and keep them equal, but over time, mistakes are made, and it could be that my axle is somewhat slightly askew to the pivot point, and we want those two things to be perfectly parallel, or at least as best we can. So I happen to have some, and my camera's rubbish at focusing in on things, but I had some steel rod, and what I've done is wound some electrical tape so that you can see that the rod is slightly thinner than the hole, so it rattles around. But if we just wrap a few wraps around, we can get it positioned where there's minimal movement of the rod inside the hole, and we've done that here as well up at the swing arm point. And all we're simply going to do is now measure in a straight line the distance between these 2 points. So this side's a little trickier because we have the exhaust in the way, or at least I do with this Akrapovic style. I have removed my carbon guard, and the hole in there is a much thicker hole than the rod, but again I've simply used some tape to create the difference in the gap. So now my rod is holding central. Again, it's not quite perfect, but it's good enough. And then we've got this one set up here too. So what I've done is set it up so I can push these rods as far out as possible. I'll just push this one in like so. This one actually doesn't need to be, but so I'll push that back in. Okay, so now we've got a point where we can measure between the two on this side as well. So I'm going to measure mine and I'll report back what I find. Well, the good news is that both of my measurements, thankfully, are within. Listen, I'll give myself a tolerance of 1 millimeter, but as far as I can tell with my tape measure, we are 545 millimeters both sides. So that is good news. That means we've got a nice straight axle compared to the pivot point, and now I can carry on. I'll keep these in place because I do want to make adjustments. Right now I'm maxed out on my adjusters. The axle's literally got no further to go at the back, so I need to move this forwards, so I'll do that and then double check again. But I just wanted to show you the method that I'm using to get that as accurately as possible. Yes, you can use the markers on the swing arm, but all of us that have used those in the past know that they're not the most reliable things, these markers, I mean. So a double check with this is always a nice reassurance too. Now what I'm trying to show you here, badly really, is that the center ridge on this black plastic guard, which is this part right here, I'm trying to get that aligned with the front sprocket. And like I was maybe saying before, if you run that front sprocket the other way around, you would get it perfectly aligned with that chain guard center point. But having watched other videos from Sport Bike Track Gear and doing the same test, we have to run it with the text out. Otherwise, the datum point on the back of this sprocket would be wrong to the standard position. So remember that there's a standard sprocket, of course, and if you were to measure the distance of the back of the standard sprocket to this face right here, there would be X millimeters. And if you do the same thing with this front sprocket, you'd have to go this way around to make that the same. And all I'm double checking, because it just makes that chain center ridge on here, on this swing arm guard, a little bit offset to that front sprocket. And I guess we just live with it. There's no other way around it. We want the rear datums of both sprockets to be exactly the same. And if this happens to have additional wear because of that, then so be it. I don't know how else you accommodate for that. Alright, so I thought I would show you the test that Sportbike Track Gear did to ascertain which way around your sprocket should go. Here we have our standard original from the bike, from new, 16 tooth 525 width sprocket. And the reason we put it on the socket here is because we want this datum to be consistent. So whatever we put on here, we're gonna have a distance from the teeth to this face here. This would be like the gearbox on the bike. And what we want to do is, once we know this distance from this datum to these teeth, whatever we put on, even if it's a thinner sprocket, then the back side datum of those teeth should be the same distance from here to the back side of the teeth here. That is exactly 80 millimeters, that one. So we're going to go with, this is a JT, another 525 sprocket, but this time 15 teeth. So the only difference between this and a standard was the number of teeth in theory. So we'll put it on with the text facing upwards, and we'll measure the exact same, and that is exactly 80 millimeters also. We're now going to try the super light 15 tooth 520 sprocket in the same manner, and we will measure that one. It is also exactly 80 millimeters. So now we're going to try this one, and this is the driven 520 16 tooth sprocket, and interestingly that is 79 millimeters. I'll double check that again. That is 79 millimeters here to here. So that is 1 mil off from the standard position, and I could tell that this was different because if we look at this, sorry, my screen just went off. If we look at these two sprockets together, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a clear visual offset between where the teeth rest on the middle boss on this one compared to the driven one. We'd get more wear on that backside. If the chain was here and the teeth lived further in, we'd get even more wear on the back. So that is a concern that I'm having right now. Now, I did pull this part number from the Sprocket Center website. There may be some incorrect information there, and maybe this is not the right part for an R7, even though it's listed on a website for the R7. So may have to revisit this front sprocket. All right, well, I've had another look online and verified that even if you go to Driven's own website, it would list this part for the R7. If you look on sportbiketrackgear.com, it also lists 1036 520 16. For me, I will be ordering the super light sprocket. I'm just going to return this. I think I got it through Amazon, so I'm going to return this one. I found the listing for the R7, the 21611R, and I'm going for a 16 in a 520 size, and that would match my 21611R 15 that I had previously. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So just a word of warning, if you've ordered a driven, then you might want to double check that, and you will be a millimeter off if you've ordered the 1036 version, at least I would suggest. Okay, so I'm not going to rabbit on too long. Most of you don't seem to watch the majority of the length of my videos, so I'm not going to rabbit on too long, but I have ordered that front sprocket now, so that is on the way, a 16 tooth. I was tempted to put on my 15 and just throw on the chain and we could ride to work tomorrow, but yeah, I just didn't get a chance to do that, so I'm going to end the video here. So yeah, rear put my teeth back in, rear wheel alignment done with those rods. Is a great way to just double check all your alignments and things. And yeah, just watch out for those sprockets. Make sure you do your measuring when you're installing whichever sprockets you've bought, just to make sure you haven't been sent the wrong one or repackaged something else. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon, I'm sure, with something else to tinker with. So thank you for watching. Bye for now.